Welcome to the Way podcast, Consciousness of the Way. And my name is Taoist Master San Quinn, and my divine delectable co-host here is High Priestess Jade. And good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. And how are you?
I'm wonderful.
There's an echo in here.
I know. Yeah. I'm wonderful. We're doing great.
Right.
Yeah.
What an amazing divine day, as we always remember how amazing it is to be here today, present, aware, alert,
Awake.
conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's another amazing day in the world of podcasts, and this is podcast number 2 of the Way, Consciousness of the Way podcast. And we, Jade and myself, bring the incredible enlightenment of Taoism, an open mind and viewpoint of the world, and just bringing more insight as parents and people that occupy the space and earth that you are in, with a greater sense of awareness just from the way we perceive things, the way we are given these tools, these ancient tools that we've been using for decades, that have been handed down to us for thousands of years, and we're bringing them to you. So today we're talking about how everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. And what an incredible topic. Just so happens that that's my bag. That's what I do. That's what I love. That's what we do. That's what we love, which is energy, frequency, and vibration. And I mean, nothing is greater than realizing that that is a complete shift just in of itself, just by saying that.
Yeah, I think most people, it's not such a far-fetched concept, but when you frame it that way, they're confused by it. But when you put it into just regular things like, pets, we have a dog, and I talk to our dog as if he's a person. I ask him questions. I know he's not going to respond, but it's like I communicate with him as if he's communicating back with me in English, speaking my language. And I think most people are, talk to their pets, whether it's like, oh, coochie goo, or do you want me to pet you? Do you want a treat? Do you want, I mean, obviously the dog's not going to speak back in English. They have their own language, but that's energy. They have that essence and that ability to absorb that, feel that, whether it's a vibrational thing and it's not a language, but that's energy. You are putting your energy or your tone or your vibration into your animal, and they're reciprocating it or not receiving it. And I think that's an easy way people can really digest that concept.
Yeah. No, it makes absolute sense when you're digesting the whole idea of how to perceive what it is that you're experiencing. It could be considered a simulation when you realize that, what is it that I am feeling? What is it that I am thinking? What is it that I am emoting? And that really comes down to energy, frequency, and vibration, which is, encapsulated into everything that you do on a second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour basis in your reality. And so, animals are a great starting point, especially for people that don't understand how they get to a point where you have this selfless, sentient being that is giving you this unconditional love and attention that is a bond that cannot be broken. And I mean, anyone who has ever experienced the unconditional love of any type of animal can really immerse themselves in understanding how that connection works. So, when we're talking about energy of the room, frequency of the room, vibration of the room. We talk about walking into a space and you don't like the feeling, you don't like the company, you don't like the vibe.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people classify it, the vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whether it's a room or, oh, that person gave me a weird vibe. But I mean, again, vibe is still energy. It's still a vibration. It's something you're receiving or transmitting
Mm-hmm.
that, is happening constantly all the time.
Right. And so we get back to the senses, which are the entry point to your consciousness, your learning curve, your perception of your reality. And those senses are the ones that are basically the starting point for your experience. So you learn the end and the beginning of your learning or experience in this reality starts with your senses. So, referencing the animal and understanding how the animal interacts with you. We spoke of this before, and understanding that, you can smell the fear. They literally can smell whether you're sick or well, and they have the understanding to give you more love, more attention, more commitment, this unconditional commitment that you connect with, that gives you the ability to, really shelter in those stormy times when you are in doubt or in need of a shoulder to cry on. And so many people use animals as, the center of their healing. And so it's been a very popular thing over the last, I don't know, as far as I can remember, at least the last 20 years, where you get, a service animal that comes with you under any circumstance, that is sort of like a branch off or a degree of a prescription that some type of therapist would give someone who's struggling with mental, what we'd call mental health issues, by consoling them with this bond that they get from their animal, which has been measured. And again, we talk about measuring energy, frequency, vibration. Yeah. And as I've notioned before, these things are measurable and have been for decades. And the transmission of and receiving and transmitting of magnetic frequency from your electromagnetic field comes in and out of your heart. This is just a scientific fact that you are transmitting this information, these packets of information from your heart, which will basically go out into your field, your auric field, that has been measured 10 to 15 feet from your physical body. And in turn, I could personally say that it's actually, in my opinion, infinite or limitless, due to some of the things that I have witnessed and experienced in my lifetime, working with energy, frequency, and vibration. So in a nutshell, how it works is you take in information and project information from your field, which comes in and out through your heart. It can also come in and out through your head or your brain. But generally speaking, the cycle of information comes in through your heart. It goes up the parasympathetic nervous system into your brain. It is then registered in your, certain compartments of your brain that will create the correct sort of like electromagnetic charge that activates a chemical response, or an alchemical response, you'd like to say, creating oxytocin, nitric oxide, DMT. These are all incredible fun factory chemicals that you're creating inside your body. So that message will go in through the heart, up through the parasympathetic nervous system, into the pineal gland, bounce around the pineal, thalamus, and oh my goodness.
What is that, pituitary?
Pituitary gland, yeah, pineal, pituitary, and thalamus. I had a brain fart there for a second. And so these are the three treasures that we talk about within Taoism that are the three main players to creating the chemical factory that you need as a explorer of your consciousness within this space, especially when you want to start elevating to much higher levels, just beyond the baseline, which we always talk about, which is your emotions.
Yeah.
You know, that's the starting point, right? Just mastering that, conquering that. It's accessible to everybody. You do it, you get over it, you realize it was a non-event. When you get there, you are going to be blown away by how easy it is to over the top. Have you ever seen that movie with Sylvester Stallone? You know, over the top. You're going to win the arm wrestle match with your emotions. You're going to come out on top as the master, and now you're going to start moving on to higher levels of consciousness, just as if you're playing a video game.
Yeah, no, I think just getting back to animals, it's like, I think we kind of forget as humans that we still have this primal thing, whereas most animals, their language of communication is energy. That's how they feel what's going on, whether this, is this a predator? Is this a prey? Should I be concerned? Should I not? It just made me think for a minute. There's this really beautiful woman who swims with sharks all the time. And, most people are conditioned to be very afraid of sharks and, Jaws and all these things. But she swims with sharks to promote awareness of how beautiful they are as animals. And really, when I look at it from a Taoist perspective, all she's doing is instantly just connecting with their energy and sharing her energy back. And it's like sharks are that type of animal that instantly feeds off of energy. And it's like, that's how they're communicating, whether it's with another sea creature, whether it's with a human in the ocean. That's how they're feeding off of it. And I think us as humans kind of forget we have this primal instinct and we feel it, but whether it's society or other things, we kind of turn it off or go like, oh, that's wizard stuff. That's magic stuff. That's woohoo stuff. And it's like, well, no, there's a lot of scientific evidence of energy, of transmitting and also receiving. And it's starting to become a normal thing now, which I think is really good because, really it's been around since our existence. We just choose to kind of poo-hoo it when really it has incredible benefits to us if we just tap into it.
Yeah, you have a situation where you're being trained out of the mindset or understanding of the simplicity and power that you have with your connection with the universe, and simple things like animals understanding that that sense of awareness, which is really they're in the present moment. That's how they live their lives. The difference between all sentient beings and humans, which is to our fault, quite frankly, and understanding that human beings, out of all sentient beings, are the only ones that are aware that you're going to die. So understanding that, we're a little bit too smart for our own good, and we realize that, there is a time clock, a time frame. Instead of being in that present moment, instead of understanding that that is where all the magic starts and ends within our experience, and when we are in our present moment, room for past stories are a non-starter, a void, and then you get to create from this, driver's seat, right? So, creating from the driver's seat, understanding that we can get into much deeper, more profoundly, complex places of our consciousness, and realizing that, you spend your life driving what you consider a Volkswagen, some POS, Pinto, or, I'm not a fan of Ford, so please don't hate me, a Ford, of some description. So if you realize you're driving a Ford your whole life, and all of a sudden you're able to tap in to your consciousness, and how do you do that, right? So how do you tap into your consciousness? Well, you shift those gears of that Ford, and you realize that you pull over for a second on the side of the road, and you go to open the hood, and you've really got a big block 458 Chevy badass engine, and you are now in a whole nother level of consciousness. You realize that, man, I can shift those gears. So talking about that, and that metaphor, let's talk about what that means. It means that once you tap into that consciousness and you're able to shift your brain waves at will, which is really what Jade and I focus our attention on in helping people understand and open that part of themselves that empowers them to just basically create the reality that they want whenever, however they want, by shifting through those brainwaves. So, you start your day with, beta, high beta, depending upon who you are, how you perceive your reality. You wake up, you splice off some serotonin, you are up and at 'em and ready to go. And guess what? It's a beta day. It's a high beta day. You are driving in first gear. Your engine is overheating. You drop a cup of coffee on it, and you are in overdrive. You're probably going to blow your transmission. And then as you continue to shift through your day, depending upon how many obstacles you want to create from your own reality, pull in stories from the past, make it as difficult as possible. And right there, all of a sudden, this concept that we were talking about, right back to the animal, having an instinct of just being present in the present moment, not being in fear of death or the past. By the way, side note, imagine this. If you believe you are not of this body, what can harm you? Sit and digest that one for a minute, and we'll get back to it. So understanding that you're shifting through these gears, or you're stuck in that first gear, you cannot get into cruise. You're not hitting fifth. You're not on cruise control because of the trauma and the events that you are creating from yourself through the course of your day, and you just keep going over it like a rat in a wheel, rat in a wheel, rat in a wheel. And so you drive high beta all day, first gear, can't get out of gear, transmission is overheating, and it's not looking good. You are getting to the end of your tank of gas, and guess what? There's no one coming to save you. No one's calling. Just imagine, there is no AAA. There is no roadside assistance. You are stuck with either shifting it out of gear or being stuck on the side of the road for the rest of your natural born life, which is where most people end up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it turns into this thing where you're comfortable, or you start to accept it. It's like, oh, I'm always going to be stuck in this job. I'm always going to be stuck in this relationship. I can't get out of it. And then you start telling yourself those stories. I can't, take that risk. That's too risky. I can't, do all these things, and everything. The tools are all right there. You just have to be able to see them and use them and realize, yes, you can do whatever you want. And, it's not about the money or the job or I, don't have the best house or the living circumstances or how I grew up as a child. None of that is relevant to the ability to be able to change. That's all limiting you from changing. When it's, it's right there, just like you said. You open up the hood and go, wait, you mean I'm driving a Lamborghini? I'm driving a Porsche? I'm driving a car that goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds?
Right. So when you touch on that,
yeah,
like we were talking about, the whole car, the transmission, all the things that we are alluding to, which really comes down to your brainwaves. If you want to affect change right here, right now, We're going to help you understand how powerful your mind is, how powerful your consciousness is, how powerful you are as an individual contributor to your reality, your path, your journey, your realization that you are the shiznit, you are the be-all or end-all to your reality. You really are. You make the change, you make the difference, and nothing will stop you. Nothing will limit you. You have the ability to do anything. It's just basically, this happens all the time. Sifu, I'm stuck. Sifu, I'm sad. Sifu, I'm limited. Sifu, I cannot see past my nose on top of at the end of my face. This all has to do with perception, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, and understanding that when you get to that place of awareness, and it's just about a little bit of guidance. This is not about strong-arming you and breaking your will and changing your perception so that you have a different belief system. This is about opening you up to a greater sense of knowing, a greater sense of awareness. That's all. And that's what takes place when you do something like a baseline, which is always an entry level, meditation.
Yeah.
Meditation is basically, in definition, being aware, being familiar with. That's what meditation is. It's a great entry point. What we are talking about is taking charge of that meditation, chewing it up, spitting it out, and that's just like your appetizer. Your entree is basically being able to shift your state whenever, wherever, however you want at the flip of a switch. And that references us back to the brainwaves. And so those brainwaves are dictated by your state. They're dictated by several different indicators within your environment. And that's why we always reference, how we incorporate, epigenome, epigenetics, understanding you are the product of your environment. And then, of course, we layer in the old laws of attraction. You are a magnet, So you can use the model just the way Albert Einstein uses it, right? You want to be the master, the keeper, the creator of your reality. As we always remind you, that's exactly what you are. That's who you are. And you are going to manifest and create your reality however you want it. We're just giving you the tools to mold it that way. The scalpel, the brush, whatever is necessary to shape your reality, you're going to have it. And that just comes from understanding how to get there. So when Albert Einstein talks about quantum physics, you are the magnet. And now you can be the magnet of doo-doo, or you can be the magnet of the most magnificent, amazing things that you bring into your reality. It's a choice. And so this is where mastering your emotions are so critical to a baseline, a starting point, an entry point. Just like meditation is a baseline, a starting point, an entry point to your consciousness and making you the most powerful tool in your toolbox for your life. And you get to change it. You get to change it. So we talk about the brain waves. We talk about the magnetizing of you. So within a quantum model, what it means is you are collapsing space and time, and you are drawing your future to you. You are drawing anything and everything that you want in your life to you. You are not having to move through time and space to acquire it. It is being drawn to you. Now, that's a whole different concept for most people, but in reality, because we're interconnected, it's very simple concept. And when you understand you're interconnected with the quantum model, that you are me, I am you, magical things start to take place. And so we layer that. We layer with the entry point of meditation, which is a great entry point. Then we layer you with the understanding that you get to shift your gears. You don't stay in first gear, so your transmission overheats. You don't go from beta to high beta and then add some coffee and a couple of other stimulants, an energy drink, anything you want to put on it. Sugar, and it just flares the flames of your misery which is really what happens. So you want to be able to shift out of beta, snap into alpha and theta, and literally operate in that state with a splash of gamma, making you highly conscious, highly creative, highly absorbative. You will absorb everything and anything, making you the basically the arch nemesis, or the equivalent to AI should keep running and running far, far away from you, because human beings will outshine AI if you understand how to access the mind. And so when you look at it that way, we're just talking about something that you have within you, that you have the skill set of, you were born with, your neurology, your understanding, your perception. These are the tools that you need to be the biggest, baddest, badass of your reality right here, right now. You are the action star of your movie.
I was just thinking, when you were saying that, it made me think of like the movie The Bourne Identity.
Yeah.
Where like he has all these skills and he's like, wait, how did I get this? How can I punch someone? How can I do this? All these moves, and it's always been within him. He just, throughout the whole movie starts to open up his perception and put the pieces to the puzzle and realize, I'm this incredible, I can't even remember what the movie's about. A spy.
Yeah,
he's a spy.
He's some type of spy.
Or spy, but he's trained in all these, 1% martial arts and incredible skills that, most people don't have. And then once he remembers and it clicks, it's like, wow, you're unstoppable. You're, limitless. You're a force to be reckoned with.
Right. You're the director of your movie. You're
Absolutely.
the star of your movie. You shift and change. You write the script and you lay it out and you produce it just the way you want it. And the ending is to your tailored, crafted desire, which is really the big thing. Is, okay, so we have the fundamentals. We're talking about everything is energy, everything is vibration, everything is frequency. We go over the interconnection, how simple but how bonding relationships are with animals. Animals are the most symbolic when it comes to truly encompassing unconditional love. And that's like something you want to sample it, go find yourself an animal, because any animal, and they're going to show you what unconditional love, devotion, acceptance really is. And that is a synergistic moment for any human being to get to understand how powerful they are. And that, when you tap into that, and, this is something that we talk about, which is very subjective, is understanding that even though you are me, I am you, your life experience has brought you to a point where you have different definitions of what you believe things are. And that's not for me to change or control or manipulate. It's for you to come to that realization of how that makes you connect with the coherence that's necessary for you to affect change.
I was just going to say I think the trendy thing right now is people love to say, like, what's your love language?
Mm-hmm.
And like what, and it's like, it's so that term is so different for so many people, and it's their subjective reality of, what's your love language?
Mm-hmm.
Is it champagne and strawberries? Is it fast cars and, jumping out of airplanes?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, like you said.
Right. I mean, understanding that, that subjective component changes for everybody. But as you create the coherence, the synergy between the brain, the heart, and the gut, and getting back to that. So we're talking about that. We're talking about that transmission, that electromagnetic field that runs in, around, and through and from your physical body and is energy for everything. That's what energy is made up of. Understanding something tangible or intangible, it's all the same. It's all energy. It's all compressed to a certain degree. It's all how you see or filter it through this lens as to what you see or what you don't see, but it's all there, everything. So using that quantum model, understanding that everything is energy, everything is interconnected, understanding about epigenetics, understanding about how you are the product of your environment, that your thoughts change your reality, and that is the starting and grounding point to switching on and off your gene expression, which can create longevity and health, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, everything is energy. You were talking about like animals and stuff, and I think people kind of forget too. It's not just animals; it's also plants. Like I've watched people play music for their plants. I've watched people sing to their plants. I've watched people talk to their plants, love their plants, and it's like that's also a reflection. It's like, lots of gardeners will, they have their own different thing because they are projecting that energy and it's coming back, whether it's, growing the food or having an amazing crop, or, I have the sweetest strawberries because I sing to my plants. I mean, I think that's
right.
That's another transmission of energy.
Well, everything is a transmission of energy. But yeah, I mean, you're making that valid point. You always go back to you're in the restaurant, you ordered the wrong food, and the universal unspoken word of never asked the chef to remake your food, for the simple reason that, there's this sort of like myth or a legend that's gone around, just by anyone that eats at a restaurant. If you ask the chef to remake your food, they're probably going to do something to it that is not something you would like.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about this. It brings me back to this awesome scene from a movie a long time ago called Road Trip. I think it was Road Trip with the Tom Green. And let me tell you, I mean, that gives you the essence of how Hollywood manipulates your perception of reality, because it's just echoing in your mind whenever you talk about, hey, I want to send my food back. Well, in a nutshell, the story was quite clear. Send the food back. The chef takes the food. The chef takes the food and does some very, very, very scrupulous types of things to it. Then, hands it back to the customer, and the rest is history. But this references the whole thing about what we're talking about today: energy, frequency, and vibration. You want someone to make your food with love. You want someone to connect with you with love. This is a frequency that creates what we call heart rate variability, which is part of the coherence. Now, why is this so important? Well, the coherence is an entry point. We use that because it's a more comfortable way to sort of understand how we're able to access your consciousness, how we're able to help you develop those skills using all these ancient practices. I mean, this was not created, thousands of years ago, like the Taoist practices that we incorporate into the skills that we teach people within the Way 126 experience. But it happens to be a great model, just like scientific facts, to give you an understanding how to create that frequency, how to create that synchronizing between you and the universe and the earth. So that coherence message, simple signal, comes in through the heart. Parasympathetic goes up to the brain, then from the brain it goes down into the gut. That's how you get the coupling of the brain, heart, and gut. That syncing is what you need to create your intuition messaging that is so clear to you. When you get that message, you get that gut feeling, and when it's synchronized, when it's coherent, separating the emotions from the virtues, and you get that virtuous signaling, which is in some cases, quite simply just calm, coherence, relaxation, grounding. This is when you get that supercharge of energy. That's the feeling component, the last piece, that synchronizing piece that gets you to open the door. That's when magic takes place.
And I think that's a really good point too, just getting back to animals and how they feel energy. There's so many stories of, the dog wakes up the human because the house is on fire. Or like, I think dogs and a lot of animals are super intuitive because they are so connected. They are so present. They are constantly feeling energy and making their decisions off of it. And, or those stories of like, the dog could sense something wrong, their owner was having a heart attack or something. So they were barking, they barked so the neighbor could hear. There's always these miracle stories about animals saving with their own intuition and being so connected. I think it's a really powerful thing to kind of observe or even like learn from how to tap into it for yourself.
Well, that's the part of being present. That's what we talk about. So being present is so critical because you're not being subject to your personality, which is everything to do with your past. That's what's the instigator of the stories of your life, and how you get to being very limited, not unlimited, is because you use the stories of your life to craft your present and your future, which is always going to end in the past. So understanding, just as Jade said, was, get back to the simplicity of how animals teach us to be present. They're not concerned about the past or the future because they're not operating on that. They're operating on the basic mechanics of their primal instinct. And there's three mechanisms that work with that: fight or flight, and then the understanding that, using that primal instinct, reproduce, live another day, and fear everything. And that's kind of like how human beings are based in that. They don't realize that these are the starting points, the default of their reality, and that the reason they're cynical, introspective, analytical, and conflicted is because they have that extra component. They're able to go backwards. They're able to spend all their time in their past. They're able to go, hey, you know what? My stories of the past is where I feel most comfortable. This is the emotions and the feelings that are dictating my reality, because I just bring it up in here and then I operate from that viewpoint, which is very limited. When you erase that, just like we talk about the human being and how your brain doesn't know the difference between something you imagine or the event itself. You're the master, the keeper, the creator of your reality. You're the one who decides what you're going to take. You're standing there in front of the conveyor belt and your emotions are passing you by. Your thoughts are passing you by. Which one am I going to pick up? No, I'm not going to take that one. I'm going to take that one. I'm not going to take that one. I'm going to take that one. And with that, you get to be the director, the superstar, the producer, the scriptwriter, and ultimately you craft the end of your story. You're the one who creates that reality. So making it simple. When we're talking about energy, frequency, vibration, we make it very, very simple. The understanding is this: if you stay in the present and the future, you're going to have a very charmed life. And the old expression, this is something that is always something that rings through, is never make it about yourself. And when you do that, holy moly, how easy is your life? There is no end to it. It's like, okay, walk into Starbucks, order a coffee, get attitude from the barista. You get offended by it. We play the back and forth hot potato, right? What does that mean? Jade gives me an 8, I give her a 5. I give her a 5, she gives me a 2. She gives me a 2, I give her a 0. And that's how we interact as human beings, because we get mortally offended using the soundtrack of our life to this point, And that's how we shape our present and our future, instead of embracing the present as a whole new experience every second of every minute and being right there. That's why you call it the present. That's the moment you embrace it. That's the moment you become supercharged. That's the moment where you create that consciousness, is in the present, not in the past. And so using that, understanding that, accessing that, is where magnificent and powerful things take place. And so, I think today is a great example of how we've gone back and forth over those things. And we've realized, by using sentient beings, animals, as a great launching pad for understanding what real unconditional love is, what real gratitude is, what real, true loyalty and commitment to something else.
And energy transfer.
Sure.
It's
kind of like an energy transfer is in of itself. We're swimming in it right now. We're all interconnected, but it would be a transfer. Yeah, technically.
Yeah, I think it's hard to come home from a long day work and you open the door and you have this furry little fur ball, chasing his tail, looking at you, going, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. You're home. Right. I just, pet me, love me, take me for a walk, and it's like, when you're greeted with something like that, not, necessarily, like you said, when you go to Starbucks, you're not necessarily greeted with something like that you're greeted with whatever, experience that person went through. But when you're greeted with that and you feel that, I think it's, no matter what your day was, it's pretty hard for anyone to not receive that and want to smile or want to feel good or want to reciprocate that. And I think that's
that goes right back to laws of attraction.
Right.
It goes right back to the epigenetics. It goes right back to you're the product of your environment.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, when I mention to you, all thoughts of your mind are not yours, and that was referenced, I think, last podcast, but I mentioned today, if you believe you are not of this body, what could harm you? Whoa. Now, I always get this, when I drop this bomb on people are like, I don't want to die. That's not what it's about. It's by demystifying, by destroying, viscerating your limited beliefs, and realizing that when you are not limited by this physical body, and this is the entry point and exit of your reality, you can create anything.
And like you said, being present,
right.
Not being stuck in the past, not replaying the same stories, having that limit your belief system, your thoughts, your ability to control your emotions.
Right. And so we talked about the 72-hour challenge last time, but let's talk about it again. The truth is, this is the fastest way to your entry point. You want to waste time. You want to get home from work. You want to have your husband or wife fight with you because, all the bills are coming for the month. It's 3 days left to the end of the week, and you're short, $50, $100, $1,000, and you're squabbling over real world, first world problems. Nothing seems more important, right? Nothing seems more important. Instead of realizing that this is the weeds that you get stuck in, the past. So you bring the past to that present moment. Your husband, your wife, your partner brings the past to that present moment, and then you guys are limited by that. You want to stop that right now? You want to stop it? You want to make it really simple for yourself? Drop everything and start now and walk forward. That's that simple. It's really that simple. If you can make that conscious commitment to each other, profound things will take place in your life when you demystify, dissolve, detach all that noise. Because you could spend years, you could spend the rest of your life banging the drum, looking to find out what are the hidden secrets as to why your personality feels wounded and limited and conflicted with life stories. Again, let's reference the whole thing. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and the actual event that takes place. So if it's that simple, if you can create and change your reality through the chemistry within your mind, Why would you limit yourself by some story of the past? Did you know that all the stories that people live on, die on, are 80 to 90% of them are just made up and fabricated and, completely distorted from what actually took place in the event, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ago. And human beings are great at the old BS or storytelling to a degree. Mm-hmm. And so why limit yourself? You're one story away from being superhuman. And then that shifts. So that's where we talk about the thought, the feeling, and the emotion, and understanding that when you connect those three, which is every second of every minute of every hour of your life, and you're able to encapsulate that, that's where that electromagnetic charge comes in. So it's the signal, boom, in and out through the heart. The heart is the big boss. The brain is just the hub that filters information. The heart is the epicenter. It's like that old expression, feel it, talk from your heart, share and express, because it's ancestral. It is generational. It is ancient in of itself.
Primal.
The very primal, and understanding how the heart is the commander-in-chief, the biggest badass of all badasses. Feel it from the heart, because once you feel it, then it becomes real. Once you feel it, that's your indicator, that's your solidifier, that's your truth as a human being. Then you know it's real. Then you're able to move forward and start operating in a whole different level. And this is, this is critical to your human being experience.
And I think at least once in your lifetime, people have felt it, if not more. And then they always ask themselves, I had this amazing experience where, I, whatever the story is, I saw a miracle, this happened, I experienced this, light, this energy, God spoke to me, however they want to frame it. And then I always think they go, but I never know how to get back to it. Mm-hmm. I never know I don't know how I did it, or why it happened, or how it happened. How do I get back to that and have it happen every day, every second, every minute?
Just so happens that's a great question I can answer. Well, I mean, this is what we do here on this channel. This is what Jade and I have done for, decades, is helping people integrate the energy, the frequency, the vibration, and understanding how the human condition can be the starting point to an unlimited superhuman condition that you can have an experience and is who you are primarily. You are being limited by, the social psychosis of, the world today.
Yeah.
And all we're doing is bringing you back to the understanding of who you really are and giving you those keys. So the prerequisite is 0, understanding how quickly you can get there. It only takes a few seconds or guided directional indicators to get you where you need to go, and know that you have a prerequisite when it comes to this. And so when you realize that you don't need to be a guru, a master, a master meditator, a guru, levitator, an enlightened wisdom worshiper, whatever it is, or just janitor Roger Moore down at the local McDonald's. As long as you're a human being and you have the neurology of a human being and you have the 5 senses which you were born into this world with, we're going to show you how to change your state and be able to master your emotions and do it at lightning speed, and keep that skill that you have acquired, that you have mastered, that you have nurtured and crafted for yourself for the rest of your life. It's yours and yours only to keep forever. And so that's the exciting part that we love to observe, is seeing people change and coming to that realization of how powerful they are as individuals. And that's the boom.
have a Porsche.
Right.
I'm not driving, my old 1991 Honda.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the mic drop is when you open that hood up and you're like, holy crap, I've got a big block engine. I've got that Lamborghini engine, and it's been under there the whole time. And now I can start shifting those gears, because when you start shifting those gears at will, and you open up those entry points of consciousness which connect you with the universe, there ain't nothing you can't do. You are abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite, truth to everything. Amen.
Amen.
Amen, my friends. And that is the magic of being a human being. That is the magic of being alive in 2023. And, we're excited to be able to hand you these ancient tools so that you can craft your reality any way you want.
No, I think it's, just getting back to everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. I mean, just getting people to realize that and look at things in that way, you've already shifted your consciousness and your perspective, and you're already on your way to controlling your emotions and becoming the master, the keeper, the creator of your reality.
And that is the key.
Yeah.
And so, today was a great starting point for podcast number 2 and getting into consciousness, because we are about consciousness here on this channel. Jade and I are about consciousness within our everyday life, and you become more aware of anything and everything around you. We want you to be aware of your spiritual muscle, and your spirit body, your energy body, your physical body. They're all equal in of themselves, and how you approach them is critical. So, you're working on your spiritual awareness, which basically is the commander-in-chief of everything. But understanding that when you do that, you can then shift everything else. So don't be that conscious of your spiritual awareness and then go and unconsciously, limit or attempt to limit your physical body by putting in it something that will, slow down your engine, limit your abilities. And so, you want to make sure everything that goes in and out of this physical body, everything that goes in and out of this energetic body, and of course the spiritual body, is of the highest frequency. And you will start to learn how to determine what frequency, what vibration, what energy everything is as we continue along this journey, and we give you tools to do just that. So on that note, I want to thank Jade for being here with me and being my co-pilot here on this incredible magical mystery ride that is the consciousness of the way. And this podcast is a great platform for us to start sharing this information and getting it out there so people are aware of how powerful they are as individuals and as a collective.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's great. And I think that's the perfect segue into maybe next podcast topic is, talking about all, physical body, all of those things as well. So more to come. Yeah.
So I want to thank you. I'm Taoist Master San Quinn, your humble servant and Sifu, and this is High Priestess Jade, and we are the consciousness of the way, and we look forward to seeing you again soon, my friends.